starting to feel like back to school season around here, which means it's time to start thinking about what you're going to be reading to your students in those first few days and weeks of school. The back to school read aloud is genuinely one of my favorite things I start the year with my students every year. And my first 5 days of school, last year I read 9 books in 5 days. I love sharing read alouds with my students at the beginning of the year for so many different goals. Today I'm going to share some of my favorites to help you set behavior expectations, build that student self-love in your classroom, and some of my favorites to kick off my year with content. Selecting read alouds at the beginning of the school year that are going to help your students begin to build that feeling of self-love, self-appreciation, and that I can do it attitude is hugely important. And these are some of my favorites. These are beautiful stories to help your students feel comfortable and confident in your classroom from day one. A few of my favorites from this list. Anything by Peter Reynolds really is perfection. The man can do no wrong, but I love The Dot. And it has a built-in art project that goes along with it. Might be a great activity for the very first day of school. Another favorite is The Day You Begin. This is a beautiful story all about those nerves we feel on the very first day of school. Another great story to help begin addressing that idea of growth mindset and how everybody makes mistakes is The Girl Who Never Made Mistakes. These are some of my favorite read alouds to share with my students. Behavior is another category that's really easy to address with a great read aloud. And these are some of my tried and true classics that I read with my students every year. The reason I love to use this selection of text is because we do the read aloud and then it leads to some fantastic conversation. I always use We Don't Eat Our Classmates on the very first day of school to help my students come up with a list of things we do and things we don't do in the classroom. And yes, we always put We Don't Eat Our Classmates on the very top of our list. This is a great text to use to start talking about rules and things you're expecting in your classroom. Another favorite for behavior is The Bad Seed. My students love this book every single year. And it's the perfect read aloud to start building that idea that we might not always make great choices, but we can always make better choices the next time. Another text that is wonderful for building behavior expectations in your classroom is Sharky McShark. This one reads like a fable about a shark who doesn't need any help from anybody until suddenly they do need help from somebody. This is great for those students who might have that first day of school confidence, and it might be making the kids who aren't feeling as confident really feel great about themselves. Sharky McShark is a great read aloud to share with your class. Another opportunity for read alouds at the beginning of the school year is when you're kicking off your content area. Typically those first few days of school are all about building expectations, routines, getting students comfortable in the classroom and getting you comfortable with your students. When you're ready to start teaching your content though, read alouds are a great way to do it. Some of my favorites are these 3 for very specific reasons. I always start my science unit at the very beginning of the year with Ada Twist Scientist. A favorite for kicking off writing at the beginning of the year is Ralph Tells a Story. And on the day I open my classroom library to my students, I love to read The Magician's Hat. I like The Magician's Hat so much. One year it was my entire classroom theme for the whole year. These are some of my favorites to help me kick off my content at the beginning of every school year. One of the best things about sharing read alouds is that everybody has different favorites that they use, and that's why I'm calling on you guys. Please let us know down in the comments, what are your favorite back to school read alouds? What's the book you pull out every single year, knowing you're going to read it to your students within those first few days? Let's build a list together down in the comments for everybody out there hunting for a great back to school read aloud for their students. If you aren't already, please come join us here on YouTube. I put out new content every single week, and I would love to have you hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on our weekly content. If you're looking for more read aloud suggestions or just reading content in general, check out this massive playlist. I love talking about reading, as you can tell by how many videos I've put in there. And as always, I hope you guys have a not so wimpy day. Bye.